Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the National Hockey Now Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now, Friday, March 24th. Ian Cameron and Alex B. Smith ready to break down this Friday NHL slate. Just 3 games on tap, a light slate on this Friday as it normally is, but we'll break them all down in just a few moments. We remind you as well, we have our next betcast coming your way next Tuesday, March the 28th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Live betting and commentary with me, Alex, and our guests, most of them viewers and listeners. Drinking encouraged. DM at Bobano on Twitter, or email bobano350@gmail.com, and we will send you the link for the betcast, and we will bring you on to the betcast with us again next Tuesday. They've been a lot of fun, these weekly live betcasts. And remember, these are going to keep on rolling right through the Stanley Cup playoffs as well. So definitely lots of betcasts in store for the rest of the season and playoffs. The next one on Tuesday next week, so make sure you join us for that. And yes, we will be having a Saturday one at some point. I'm waiting for this tournament to end, the basketball, March Madness and all that. And once we get past that, we'll have some Saturday bet. Like some of our playoff betcasts will be Saturday. No question about that. And we'll definitely have a couple betcasts during the playoffs on Saturday.
And I
for
think
sure.
too, like the Tuesday cards have just been so great. Like we were talking about doing like some Thursdays and Saturdays when we talked about doing the weekly betcast, but every Tuesday's just been not only just with how many games, but just good quality games. So we've just always been like, well, let's just keep it Tuesdays. So.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, we've gotten a really good turnout of people every Tuesday that we've had it. But we will have at least one more Saturday one, no question, during the playoffs, because that was fun. It's just always hit or miss with Saturdays with certain people, because it's kind of a day where they're with family and they're doing other things, and they're off work, but they want to spend it doing other things, not just stuck in watching. Not that they should feel like it's a crutch to watch hockey all day and all night, but you know what I mean. Tune into the betcast for hours on end on a Saturday. But yeah, definitely we will have one on a Saturday during the Stanley Cup playoffs. Last night's action, as we look back on it, very busy Saturday night. We saw the Philadelphia Flyers with a 5-4 shootout win over the Minnesota Wild, and the thought on my standpoint that we'd see maybe overtime in that game came to fruition with the draw cashing at plus 330 with Minnesota and Philly. See, Minnesota's a team I don't mind taking the draw with, even against an inferior team. Sometimes you will see them still just struggle to get by and just do enough, and that's what we saw last night, although last night Philadelphia ends up beating them in the shootout. So not an easy game for Minnesota. The Flyers get the 5-4 win in a shootout. We saw the Rangers, after giving up the first goal, come back, beat the Hurricanes 2-1 yet last night. So a very good win for the Rangers. And it shows you that the Rangers, even with all this offensive talent they have up front, if they need to win a game low scoring, they can do it. And they should be able to do it when you've got, obviously, Igor Shesterkin in net. And they were certainly able to do that last night, a 2-1 victory for the Rangers as they bounce back from losing at home to Carolina just a couple nights ago. More problems for Tampa Bay. Their third straight loss. They get whipped by the Ottawa Senators 7-2 last night. And you could tell early in that game, that was as clear as day. One team wanted the 2 points a lot more than the other. It was clear as day. I mean, Ottawa is obviously, look, they need 2 points almost every night they take to the ice right now if they have any hopes of crawling their way back into the wild card race. Whereas Tampa Bay, now with that loss, you wonder where this incentive is going to be for them moving forward, Alex, because now with Toronto beating Florida last night, Tampa is now 5 points back of Toronto for the home ice advantage in their first round series. And Toronto still has 2 games in hand on the Tampa Bay Lightning as well. So not only is Tampa 5 back of the Leafs now, but 2 games in hand the Leafs still have on this Lightning team. So let's just call it like we see it. The chances of Tampa Bay getting home ice against the Toronto Maple Leafs in that series are getting slimmer and slimmer, and they're almost nil at this point.
Yeah, that Tampa Bay team, like I said, they've got about maybe in my eyes, they've got no more than 15 games left, and that's of course including the regular season. This team's just not built right now to withstand the best of 7 series. with all the talent that they have, they just can't put it together for whatever reason. And I don't even know at this point. It doesn't even seem like it's fatigue. We talked about that angle for months. It seems like it's even deeper than that. I don't know if it's just internal issues, or if it's just teams are actually just better than them right now. Like I said, the talent's there, but they aren't putting it together for whatever reason. There's no reason you should be losing 7-2 to Ottawa. I'm sorry, Tampa Bay is still a better team in my eyes than Ottawa on paper. But like I said, it's the will and the way that Ottawa finds this. And if I'm a Lightning fan, I'm super concerned. Like I said, I don't think this is going to be a long postseason run. If I'm a Leafs fan, I'm thrilled because, the time is now. There has never been a better time for the Leafs to be in a spot to win a series and get things rolling in the right way in the postseason. Like I said, they're more likely going to end up with home ice. And I was talking to somebody yesterday about that series. I said, I really don't see where if those two teams play in Toronto gets game one at home, I don't see where Tampa Bay wins more than a game in that series. That first game, the crowd is going to be electric and alive in Toronto, and they have to win the first game, of course, because with every loss Toronto ever has in the playoffs, and we'll talk about this again in a month from now, but every loss they have, that's when the doubt creeps in. That's when all the naysayers and the boo birds and everybody come out of the woodworks. They have to win that first game in that series. But I think if they can do that and do that in convincing fashion, it may be a really quick series for them and a quick route to the golf course of the Lightning. They just don't have it right now.
Yeah, they don't have it right now. Neil, to his point, I will say this. There's a possibility they'll turn it on in the playoffs. There is. But I don't know. Just to me, this looks a little bit different than just late season malaise and late season struggles and late season we don't care. This looks like there's just not a team that's in sync right now or playing all that well. What's Tanner Jeannot done? Exactly right, Bo Buddy's Nerfic. What on earth is going on with him, right now for the Lightning? He's given them absolutely nothing offensively. Nothing at all. No, he's throwing his weight around. Even there, I don't find he's noticeable in the physical department, which is supposed to be, one of his attributes for this team. So that's looking like an underwhelming trade acquisition, at least in the early returns. Maybe the playoffs, again, just like the whole team are different for Jeannot, but right now, very underwhelming.
And think about what we talked about in October. There were 3 teams we mentioned that we said, they're probably going to start slow, but once things get cooking, they get past the All-Star break and the trade deadline, that's when they get things rolling. Pittsburgh, Colorado, Tampa Bay. We've seen Pittsburgh do it. They've had their issues and injuries as well throughout the entire time. Colorado, the injury bug has been biting the shit out of them for literally, well over half the season, but they still have been able to string wins together and now put themselves back in that division race. Tampa Bay is the only team that, even with a little bit of momentum kind of in the middle of the year, they just have not been able to string that consistency and get back into the form that we're used to seeing them play in late March heading into the postseason. Throughout all these years, even the year that they had that great, run and won the President's Trophy and then got swept, they were playing good hockey going into the playoffs. We just haven't seen that right now. And I think, like I said, it's completely different. This isn't just the lull of waiting for the postseason and getting geared up and ready. This isn't what Boston's doing or what Pittsburgh used to do. This is something different. This looks like a team. This is like the Hawks with that year that they got swept against Nashville. That's what they remind me of. That's the same kind of pattern where the Hawks are just like, okay, well, now we know we're going to the playoffs. We got Nashville. We've beaten them before. Maybe we can take care of business. And then what happened? They got swept.
One of my regrets last night was, speaking of Tampa and their opponent, Toronto, was not betting Toronto. Now, I shouldn't complain. That game was still great for me because I had a live over, and I had the both teams to score in the first period with that Leafs and Panthers game. But I was looking at that game. I said it on yesterday's show. I think both teams bring it. But and there's Toronto at plus 120, and we know they're better than Florida. We know that. And if both teams are going to bring it, you're going to not take the better team at plus 120. And because I was tempted to take Toronto, but I'm like, wait a minute, Florida's back home. They played well at home. They need the 2 points badly. And yet that little voice inside my head said take Toronto because they're not going to be happy about that Islander game. They're going to play hard. They're going to play well and bounce back. And they're the better team. They'll get it done. And sure enough, they did. 6-2. So I felt I left money on the table, not betting Toronto.
I bet Toronto, but that wasn't me backing Toronto. I had Toronto plus 120, but it wasn't backing Toronto. It's fading Florida. Like I'm done trusting Florida. I'm done trusting Florida to win games. And like I said, at home against a playoff team, when you should step up, they didn't. They folded. Yeah. So that was a pick that I had. I love that spot, and it's a shame I wasn't on the show yesterday. I wasn't feeling well. I would have given that out. That should have really been the best bet because what I gave out on the card on Patreon was the Penguins and Stars, which wasn't a bad best bet for the draw. That should have gone to OT the way they were playing, and ample chances by Pittsburgh to try to tie the game up. But that's a great Dallas Stars win. That's the kind of win they need in the playoffs. That Jake Ottinger shutting things down late, making big saves, getting those timely goals from Ben and Pavelski late in the third period. That's the kind of hockey. That's what makes Dallas really dangerous. Yes, they can run you up and score 7 or 8 goals and blow you out the water. But the fact that they can hold tight, play that physical, hard checking game, but still get the offensive wherewithal to score and not get down on themselves when down late in the game. That's that with the resiliency and those marks that you see from previous champions. And that's why I think Dallas is a strong contender to win out of the West.
That was a good win. And look, Dallas can't be wheeling and dealing and running and gunning like they have been the last few weeks. I know they've scored a lot. They played a lot of overs, but that's not going to be their way to win in the playoffs. It's going to be timely scoring. It's going to be good defensive hockey. It's going to be Jake Ottinger reclaiming the form he had last year and in the playoffs. And we saw signs of that last night. That style, that prototype is what's going to go far for Dallas in the playoffs.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, and it will, right? And that's the thing. You have to be able to play that kind of hockey. But the thing that separates the good playoff teams from the great playoff teams is the ability to do both. Talk about the New York Islanders all the time, right? The New York Islanders played, they've been playing playoff hockey for 12 years, as far as I'm concerned, in the regular season, the way that they shut things down. Like, that's just their mode of operation. But they can't string together the high-scoring offense when you need it. And like I said, I think that's something that's really going to be a thing to watch for in the first round, in the first few games of the first round. I think we're going to see a lot more high scoring in this, and then we're going to see things kind of take paper. It's almost like the first round is like a first period of a game. We're going to see a lot of high scoring, a lot of back and forth, a lot of leads, blown and traded back and forth. Those second and third rounds is when the defense starts to tighten up, the physicality. How strong and healthy are you, going through this grind? That's when that comes in. So the fact that Dallas can play both, I think that gives them more of an advantage over some of these teams that, they can play that grinded out playoff style, but can they turn up that offense when a game gets out of hand and it becomes a barn burner? Because we have seen that a lot in some of these previous first rounds.
Yeah, that definitely. And it's going to be interesting to see exactly, will we have that little fast start in terms of the scoring department early in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Washington 6-1 over Chicago last night for the Blackhawks. Blackhawks doing what they should be doing, losing. Let's be honest. And obviously 6-1 loss last night to the Washington Capitals. St. Louis 4-3 win against Detroit. I was on the Blues there. Very disappointed Vrana didn't make more of an impact. Like, none of the Vrana props cashed for me last night. 0-3 with them, honestly. The shots on goal fell short. Didn't get a goal. Didn't get a point. Thought he'd be chomping at the bit against his old team. But St. Louis does get the win, so that was good to see. 4-3 over the Red Wings. We saw Nashville in a shootout 2-1 over Seattle. I was on the draw in that game for a little bit. It was a good draw candidate, in my opinion, and the Predators get a 2-1 win. And those same two teams are back at it Saturday against each other in Nashville. So another big pivotal game, especially for the Predators, who actually are still hanging around there in that race. Although they didn't benefit from the Winnipeg Jets winning last night, 3-2 over Anaheim. Huge 2 points for Winnipeg to keep pace with Nashville and with Calgary, who ended up losing 3-2 last night to the Vegas Golden Knights. So you're saying the Calgary Flames scored 2 goals on 44 shots and lost by 1 goal. I haven't seen that before. Haven't seen that happen before this year. 44 shots, only 2 goals, and they come up a goal short and lose. Oh, haven't seen that type of Calgary Flames performance this season. Oh, no, only on the contrary, only seen it 20 fucking times, it feels like. My goodness. And once again, just can't bury a chance when they need it. Logan Thompson, by the way, injured in the third period, left the game. Jonathan Quick has to come in, and he had to make a couple of really nice saves down the stretch to preserve that lead for the Vegas Golden Knights. But again, a 3-2 win for the Vegas Golden Knights over the Calgary Flames. And Vancouver 7-2 win over San Jose, as they that was a good game for me, as I was on Vancouver double up last night, first period puck line and in regulation, playing good hockey. And I figured, hey, this is their chance to really step up after a tough loss to Vegas against this San Jose team that's now lost 8 in a row. David Quinn getting frustrated in the press conference saying, we may be losing now, but this ain't going to continue next year. Talking about the struggles of the San Jose Sharks. And tough season, obviously, for him. I mean, first year, he knows he's coming to a rebuilding team, but you can tell the frustrations and just the constant losing. It's really starting to boil over for him. Speaking of losing, Vancouver Canuck fans, even hockey fans in general, they're going to be losing out, saying goodbye to John Garrett. I mean, I couldn't believe it when I heard it last night, because nobody had any idea he was doing this after the season, that he was going to call it a career after this season as the 20-plus year analyst on television for the Vancouver Canucks. But there he was, just in the middle of the broadcast. Just all of a sudden, I guess he said to the producer, "Give me 30 seconds here. I've got an announcement to make." And there was the announcement that he will no longer be the Canuck television analyst, retiring after 21 years of doing it on Rogers Sportsnet Pacific. And very, very witty, humorous, entertaining, engaging character. Well, my problem with the Canuck broadcast has solely been the voice of his partner, John Shorthouse. John Shorthouse and John Garrett, though John Shorthouse is good at his job. The voice just bothers me with him. Mm-hmm. But he's very good. He's had a great, great rapport with John Garrett all these years that they've been together. They've bantered back and forth. They crack jokes and all that, all the good stuff you want in a broadcast. So that part of it will be missed. He's been with the organization forever. Of course, he was the goaltender for the Vancouver Canucks going way back in the day, John Garrett. So good career. We wish him well, and just totally caught everybody by surprise. Everyone was stunned, because I don't think they expected this to be the final season for John Garrett. They expected him back for at least another few years. He's getting up there in age, but I think he could have maybe kept going for another few years if he wanted it. But this is the end of the road. And after this season, John Garrett will be sailing off into the sunset. So best wishes. And I know Canuck fans will miss him, because he's been with the team on television for so long.
Yeah, and I hope everything's okay, because I know he did say that he will be taking some different roles with Sportsnet. He won't be just completely off the air. So I don't know, maybe if just he had to kind of cut back on the travel or different things. But yeah, like I said, a solid voice for years when you hear Canucks games, and he says it's always tough for any fan base to lose a voice you get accustomed to. I know that all too well, of course, with the Hawks losing Pat Foley and Eddie O last year. So that's always tough for fans to you get used to a voice and you get comfortable in that for a long time, and that change is always a little bit different. So like I said, best wishes to him, and like I said, hopefully the Canucks will be able to get somebody of a higher quality to replace him moving forward next season.
Yeah, will it be Bieksa? I don't know. Bieksa would have to move out there. That's the thing. Well, he's familiar with living out there, obviously. He played for the Canucks. But he's also doing Saturday night studio work, though, for Hockey Night in Canada. Does he want to give that up? Because he probably would have to give that up if he's going to become the Vancouver television analyst full-time. Perhaps.
Well, maybe
his name will
be
they
rotate. I was going to say, it rotates so many people now. You look at what, we talked about that. And if you guys haven't seen that, check out patreon.com. We talked about the TV announcer, the rankings that Ian has. A lot of, the guys, they rotate around, of course, because people, have national obligations and things. So that's probably, and that seems like the kind of the future of broadcasting. Even when you break down the other sports, I was just reading about talking about Jason Benetti, of course, voice of the White Sox, but does great work with college football and basketball, talking about how they have to shuffle things around and for him to redo his contract with the Sox. So I feel like
he's not doing 162 White Sox games this year.
Absolutely
not a chance.
Yeah. No. So, and that's the thing. So with how TV's changing and different things, and of course now with this whole Bally bankruptcy thing, and we don't know where the hell any of these games are going to be on TV in the next 12 months. A lot of people just kind of bounce around all over the place, which I don't really care for too much. I like consistency with the broadcast for a local team. National, that's whatever. But I kind of like having a solid. You have your play-by-play guy, your analyst. Maybe you have somebody that rotates in every now and then. But having a revolving door of announcers and analysts, it gets kind of wearing, because you just don't get the same consistency from watching a game from a night-to-night basis.
Definitely, and that's been a critical. I may just have to suck it up and get used to it, because I've been critical about so many crews for having no consistency in their booth from one game to the next. But you're right; it kind of feels like the trend is going in that direction, with a lot of these broadcasts.
And I'll tell you this too, and this might seem kind of on the surface when we talk about this, but it really is important, especially. And I talked about this in the bonus video about the radio broadcast. When you're listening to a game on radio and you're trying to bet live, the way they convey the information is extremely important, because there's things that you can't, obviously you're not watching it. So they have to paint the perfect picture for you. So from a betting standpoint, and I honestly, I really wouldn't recommend, if you haven't been live betting a long time, to do that. That's an advanced thing. And honestly, I've gotten more lucky with doing that. But even with watching a game on television, still just having someone that they're there for a reason to paint the picture for you. You're seeing things, but they catch things you don't see. And that is so important, especially when we're talking about live betting, just seeing how a team is playing. So the broadcasters actually do play a more important role, I think, than just what you're hearing when you're watching the game.
Yeah, definitely. That's an excellent point for sure. Boston-Montreal, I've got to mention this because that's the last game we haven't talked about. Very, very physical game. It looked like it was the Canadiens and Bruins rivalry. If you were worried about it, maybe, weakening because of Montreal's current plight and them being one of the worst teams and Boston being so good, there's not much of a rivalry now because one team's good, the other isn't. That was put to rest last night, man. A lot of hard feelings, a lot of anger, a lot of agitation. It really all got going with the hit on Bergeron, obviously by Rem Pitlick, that Jack Edwards, and it's again sounded like he's slurring the whole time. Like that didn't even make sense what he said. Is like if people you don't yet get to, or like he was butchering that whole thing he was talking about with Rem Pitlick. Like I say, there's some enhancers going on in that booth. I don't know what he's on there, but it's got to be something because he sounds like that too often. Like it's just like he's just like incoherent sometimes and just babbling and just slow to like stammering and slurring and just didn't sound right. But the point of it was you don't pay to see Rem Pitlick. You pay to see Patrice Bergeron after that comment by Jack Edwards. But obviously Brad Marchand coming to his captain's defense, no issue there. I know our good friend Jimmy Murphy, who might be joining us soon, and Andrew McGinnis, our old colleague, were sniping each other back and forth all night on Twitter regarding some of the events with Jimmy Murphy saying that Rem Pitlick deserves to get suspended, and Andrew showing evidence of Pizzetta getting cross-checked from behind and no penalty there. It's a double standard, and nice little back and forth there, a little back and forth affair with Andrew and Jimmy with that game. But it was a very cantankerous game, which ends with predictably another Boston win. What else is new with that?
Yeah, but and that's great to see. Like that rivalry, I feel like anybody younger than us, Ian, probably doesn't really grasp how great of a rivalry Bruins Habs is. Like, and obviously people way older than us totally know that was just the pinnacle. That was like Red Sox and Yankees for a long time. And so to see that kind of grit and animosity, because I feel like that's just been missing whenever those two teams play since the last playoff series, which it's been over a decade now since they met in the postseason. So it's good, good to see that kind of chippiness. Of course, like I said, Jimmy and Andrew being Habs fans and Bruin fans. So always fun to see that as well, that the joshing back and forth. But
Jimmy swears he's just a Bruins reporter, not a Bruins fan. But
I know, but there's a little fan still left in there. We know that. So
come on, we'll ask him about that if he's because he's Jimmy's busy. He's going to try to join us. We'll see if he can, but if not, we'll get him next Friday. But next time he's on with us, either today or next week, we'll have to say, hey, Jimmy, hold on a second. You're a little bit of a Bruin fan. Come on. I know you're not just covering the team. You've got some love in your heart for the Boston Bruins deep down inside. Don't give me that nonsense. All right, let's go wrap. Let's move on to the Friday card. We've got 3 games here on tap tonight. We'll begin with the New York Islanders and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Islanders minus 240 road favorites. 6 was the total. There is still a couple of 6s out there, but most books have moved to 6.5 here with this total. I bet over 6 early. And thank goodness. I didn't know it was going to move necessarily, but I guess I should have known once Michael Hutchinson was confirmed in net for the Blue Jackets. It became a feeding frenzy to the over here in this game. Not to mention the Islanders took some more money once that announcement was confirmed that Michael Hutchinson's in net. I think not just that, but also Patrick Laine out for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Triceps injury, will be out for the next 2 to 4 weeks. You might as well say out for the season. I can't imagine him coming back. For a season where you're not going anywhere. So I have a feeling that's probably it. He'll get shut down.
The season's over in 4 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's 100% right. So 6 points, by the way, in the last 3 games for Laine. He had actually been playing pretty well for this Jackets team the last few games. So no question, they'll miss him without a doubt. There's going to be some shuffling of the deck chairs in the forward group as a result from the Jackets tonight. Looks like Gaudreau, Jenner, Marchenko might be worth a look because he's moving up to that right wing top line spot vacated by Patrick Laine's injury. Foudy, Roslovic, Johnson, the second line The New York Islanders right now look impressive against the Leafs the other night. They really took advantage of a sloppy Toronto team, making some mistakes with the puck defensively, but don't take too much away from the Islanders. They still played a good game. They've won 3 in a row. They are 6-2 in their last 8 games. So they're doing what they need to do to make the playoffs. I mean, they're putting wins on the board. They're stacking points game in and game out. That's what they need to be doing. They should take care of business tonight against the Jackets. They've won 6 straight head-to-head against Columbus, including 3 games earlier this season. 2 in November, 1 in December. All of those games victories for the New York Islanders. So I haven't decided if I'm going to, like, the regulation price, just not good enough, in my opinion here. You're talking minus 134 in regulation at Pinnacle's the best price you can get. I don't love that price. Maybe you can go first period puck line, perhaps, plus 145 for a better price. But I did bet over 6, and there are a couple 6s still out there. I'm just looking. Bet Rivers has 6, minus 122. Cool Bet has 6, minus 118. Unibet has 6, minus 122. A lot of books have moved to 6.5, but there are a few stray 6s out there as far as the total for this game. And I do like this over the total. And I might look toward a little Islanders here in the first period puck line as well. And maybe an Islanders team total. But again, with the team total with the Islanders here, it's minus 145. Not a great price, but I definitely could see them getting to 4 goals, because you look at this Jackets team, Alex, they give up 6 to Washington, 7 to Vegas, 7 to Anaheim, 4 to LA, 5 to San Jose, 5 to St. Louis, 5 to Pittsburgh, 5 to Ottawa, 4 to Seattle. It's been a while since the Jackets have allowed fewer than 4 goals to the opponents. So pretty good chance, I think, the Islanders get to 4, making that team total over 3.5 worth a look as well. Yeah. Alex, what do you think here? Islanders, Blue Jackets.
I mean, the only thing you could do is either go pregame with a team total in the Isles or wait live for a 5.5, which I think a 5.5 at plus money we could wait for, because like Roberta Flack asked, where's the love? I'm asking, where are the goals? I know Columbus's defense is awful, but with no Patrick Laine, it's going to be hard for them to score. The Islanders have only played in 3 games where the total is at 6.5. They've gone 1-2. The one game that went over was against Vancouver, which, they went over against everybody for a minute. Last time these two teams played with a 6.5 total, 2-1 final for the Islanders. So I just don't see where the scoring comes right away in bunches. I think it comes later because, like I said, at some point Columbus's defense and goaltending will wear down. But it's just hard to look at a 6.5 with the Islanders. I think we can wait and grab a 5.5 at plus money, and I think that'll be a better spot. Maybe even a 4.5 laying a price. I don't think we're going to get goals scored here early, even with how bad Columbus is on the back end. I think the Islanders will dictate the pace, which for the most part kind of means them wearing things down. I don't see them just boat racing Columbus unless there's just a ton of bad giveaways and breakaways, which we haven't seen from Columbus. Even though they've played bad, the issues have been once plays are set up in front. We haven't seen just a bunch of breakaways and odd man rushes given up. We haven't, it hasn't been just fire wagon hockey, but it's just been sloppy defensive hockey. Those are 2 different things. So if you 6.5, maybe take a shot with an under and try to catch a middle for an over in game. I don't do that too often, but that's something that's an option you could look at. I'm going to wait for a live 5.5 at plus money. Like I'm saying big plus money, at least plus 120 or over, or even maybe wait for a 4.5, because I think the scoring will be a little slow to start, and the Islanders will wear them down and get the goals over time. So, like I said, there's a couple of options to go with, but they're mostly totals related. You can't go with a side because it's just such a high price in the Isles.
Yeah, I do like, if you're going to bet someone for the Jackets, Marchenko to score a goal or get a point, he'd be the one to target. Johnny Gaudreau's gone over his shots on goal, by the way, I think 4 or 5 in a row, and he's going to have to shoot even more now without Laine on his wing. So I could see him going over 2.5 shots tonight in this game. And there are a bunch of Islander props I like, goals and or points here in this game tonight, because I'd look at Simon Holmstrom. He's playing on the top line. He hasn't exactly been always clicking on that line with Lee and Horvat, but he finally scored against Toronto. He's still going to get top line opportunity tonight. So his goal prop, point prop, I would consider that tonight for Simon Holmstrom for the Islanders. He's plus 740 at FanDuel to score, and he's on the top line. How on earth do you not look at that in some degree? I mean, that's just some kind of great price there. And then on the second line, yes, Pierre Engvall, absolutely. He's been, now again, he was quiet the last game, but plus 310 to get a goal, maybe his point prop, if it's posted, worth a look. And I'll throw a couple bargain bins out there at you on the Islanders too. Hudson Fasching, believe it or not. He used to be in the Buffalo organization for a bit. I think he's a Minnesota kid as well. But Hudson Fasching has been chipping in offensively lately. You can get plus 640, with him to score a goal tonight. So there's some really, really appealing looks in terms of the goal props tonight. Jean-Gabriel Pageau, plus 350 to score a goal, and he's on a bit of a point streak right now for the Islanders. Points in 4 straight games for JG Pageau. So plus 112 for him to get a point tonight is probably a good bet because he's cashed 4 in a row. He has scored a point for the New York Islanders. So not a bad look there for him to find the score sheet as well. I know there's people in our chat saying Noah Dobson, who's going to be on the top power play unit, which he usually is. And he did have a 2-point night against Toronto the other night, and he's gotten points in 3 straight games. I wouldn't say no to that either. Noah Dobson on a 3-game point streak right now for the New York Islanders, and he's only minus 106 at FanDuel to get a point tonight. So, yeah, I wouldn't talk anyone out of that. Dobson, probably a good point prop look, and it might be a night to take a shot with some multiple Islanders props because everybody's been getting theirs lately against this Columbus Blue Jackets team. Not only a struggling D, but Michael Hutchinson in net as well. Like I said, they have not kept anybody below 4 goals in 9 straight games. This Jackets team. We'll see if that trend continues tonight. All right, New Jersey, Buffalo. Devils minus 180 road favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. This is one where I'd probably look more toward props than anything else. Maybe the draw, but again, Buffalo's just fallen really on hard times here. These last 2 home games have been dreadful. I don't even know if I can trust Buffalo to be good enough at home in a desperation spot to get to overtime to bet the draw right now with what I've seen. They've been outscored by a football score in their last 2 games, a combined 14-3. Their opponents with touchdowns against them, and they've had a lousy field goal. That's about it against Boston and Nashville in the last 2 home games. So it's not been pretty. They've gone over in 4 straight. I'd probably play that or nothing. 6.5 over the total in this game with the Devils and Sabres. I mean, Buffalo's been flying over the total. It looks like UPL will be in net. It's been a disappointing run for him lately in net. You look at his recent starts. He gave up the 7 spot to Boston, 4 to Washington, 3 to the Islanders, 5 to Boston, 4 to Washington, 4 to Toronto. He got pulled in that game. So UPL, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen has definitely had a bit of a rough stretch without a doubt in net lately for the Sabres. Vitek Vanacek is projected, although that is not confirmed as of yet. As far as the Sabres go, Matthias Samuelson's still out. That's a significant injury on the back end. That's actually one of the guys that does play really sound defense in his own end, and you can tell they miss him. And I don't think it's a coincidence either. The goals have been going in on Buffalo with him out of the lineup. It's just that important defensively in his own end for this Buffalo Sabres team. New Jersey, of course, off the game against Minnesota the other night where they fell 2-1 in overtime. That buzzer beater breakaway goal from Matt Boldy certainly made all of us excited on the betcast the other night watching that goal transpire. So New Jersey looking to get back on the win column after that performance. It is worth noting these teams. This is the second meeting this year. They only played back in November. On November 25th, New Jersey won 3-1 here in Buffalo. New Jersey probably does win this game, but I'm not going to lay $1.80. I'm going to look, like I say, more towards some props here in this game more than anything else. I think if you're going to look at props on the New Jersey side, it's worth noting Timo Meier is averaging almost 5 shots on goal, and over 3.5 shots has to be part of your repertoire right now. Like, he is shooting the puck a lot for this Devils team. And I think getting more and more comfortable as well. He has 5 points in the last 4 games for the Devils. Like I say, he's shooting the puck from everywhere. He's gone over his shot prop 3.5 in 4 straight games. I like the over shots prop here for Timo Meier tonight for the New Jersey Devils. As far as other props, our guy, we talked about him all for weeks and weeks and weeks, Dawson Mercer. He's finally cooled off. He's on a 3-game streak without a point after that incredible point streak that he had recently. But I'll tell you what, even though he's cooled off, others heating up for this Devils team, including Jesper Bratt with 4 points in the last 2 games. So those are 2 guys that definitely stand out here in terms of who's the hottest players at the moment in terms of offensive form for the New Jersey Devils. Jesper Bratt's probably right up there for them, as well as, of course, Timo Meier for the New Jersey Devils as well. What I would do is probably, because both of those guys, their point prop is over -150, do a little SGP point parlay prop with the two of them, Meyer and Bratt. Turn it into a small plus price. I definitely think that's not a bad consideration here for this Devils and Sabres game. Alex, what do you think here? New Jersey and Buffalo.
It's tough because I would like to go first period over in this game, but New Jersey actually has gone under in 4 straight first periods. They've been playing kind of this low and slow hockey. Like I said, if Buffalo was in better form, I'd be all over this draw, but I just don't see where Buffalo can hang around and compete for a 60 right now. The mark of a true winning team is being able to beat losing teams. New Jersey 23-5. Their last 28 against teams with a losing record. Give me New Jersey in regulation minus $1.25.
All right, New Jersey in regulation for Alex here. Devils to win in 60 minutes over the struggling Buffalo Sabres. All right, we got one more game to go. 144 live viewers on YouTube. We appreciate you tuning in. Hit the like button and shout out to our podcast listeners as well. Back to talk a little Arizona, Colorado right after we hear from GramCo.
Support for the Ice Guys is brought to you by GramCo. Whether you or your team's game is on the field, screen, racetrack, court, or the ice, GramCo is for the game. Grown by farmers who spent years developing premium hemp genetics, GramCo provides customers with consistent quality Delta-8 THC products ready for any occasion. GramCo currently offers numerous Delta-8 products, including vape cartridges, disposable vapes, pre-rolls, gummies, wake and bake coffee, and more. GramCo offers an enjoyable, legal high delivered discreetly and directly to you. GramCo is also available at many American retailers as well. You can get the best Delta-8 cannabis products on the market shipped quickly and discreetly from GramCo. And if you visit www.thegramco.com, use promo code ICEGUYS, you will get 20% off of every order, and any order that's on the site over $50 will be shipped free with standard shipping. So live elevated with GramCo and check out their wonderful Delta-8 products today.
All right, we are back, and we got one more game to go on this small Friday card. It is Arizona and Colorado. The Avalanche minus 430 home favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. Colorado, after that was just a game where Pittsburgh wanted it more and looked like the team that wanted it more the other night. I mean, they got outplayed Colorado. That does not happen a lot, especially to Colorado at home. So your first thought is after the 5-2 loss to Pittsburgh on Wednesday night, they're going to play a lot better tonight, put the boots to this Arizona team, right? You would think that going into this game off the loss against Pittsburgh. And I'm not so sure about that because they lost at home to LA back on March the 9th. And it was actually the last game they lost prior to the Pittsburgh game. And guess who they faced after that LA loss at home? Arizona at home. Do you know what that game was? 3-2 in overtime for Colorado. They didn't bounce back to the extent of destroying this Arizona team and crushing them under their boot. It didn't happen after that loss to LA. And you look at the Coyotes here, 4-2 in their last 6 games. So far on this 2-game road trip, competitive in defeat. They were a thorn in the side of Winnipeg, hung around, lost 2-1, took Edmonton to overtime on TNT on Wednesday night, lost 4-3 to the Oilers in OT, a game that they were up 3-2, and the Oilers actually had to get a Ryan Nugent-Hopkins goal to tie that game at 3 in the third period. So Arizona's a feisty team. I'm taking the draw here. I'm putting at least something on the draw in this game with Arizona. This is my draw game of the night right here. Arizona's effort has been commendable. I'm not saying Colorado's got a mini Tampa thing going where, they want to win, but it's not like they're putting pedal to the metal every single night to win. And especially when they're playing a team like the Arizona Coyotes. And even if Colorado, is coming out guns blazing here, looking to play a strong hockey game, do you see this track record of them versus Arizona head to head? Nothing's been easy for the Avalanche. Going back to February of last year, Arizona beat them here in Denver in a shootout at 3-2 as plus 420 dogs. Arizona beat them at home 2-1 in March last year. This season, Arizona won 6-3 in December at home against Colorado. And then that meeting I talked about a couple of weeks ago, Colorado just barely winning 3-2 in overtime here in Denver. Arizona has not made it easy on Colorado for whatever reason. I can't explain it. You would think there'd be at least some games with Colorado where they'd be, drilling this team and just the talent edge, and it would just show. But it hasn't happened here in the recent head-to-head games. And I like the spunk we're seeing from Arizona. I like what I'm seeing from Barrett Hayton, who I'm going to be betting his point prop. You know it. Once again tonight. It's just you ride that sucker until it stops cashing at this point. Barrett Hayton to get a point is only -104 at FanDuel, -105 at BetMGM, barely even money for Barrett Hayton to get that point, to keep that point streak going. 9 straight games with a point for him tonight. Clayton Keller's on a 10-game point streak as well. Unfortunately, his point prop's up at -200, but you don't get the value with that one. But with Barrett Hayton, you do at -105. So I'm definitely going to be on that point prop once again. Nick Schmaltz to get a point is probably worth a look. He's back in the lineup again. He's gotten a point for Arizona in 8 of the last 10 games. It's only -130 for him to get a point. I think for Colorado, you look at the lineup. I do want to point out Cale Makar is back tonight for Colorado. He didn't play it Wednesday night, and that means the Bowen Byram experiment for me is over. We've talked about Bowen Byram point props because he's playing the number 1 power play now for Colorado with Makar out. Well, now with Makar back, Bowen Byram slips down into the second D pair, and he's not getting the number 1 power play unit anymore. So his usage goes down, obviously, a little bit in those key situations with Cale Makar back in the lineup. Valimaki, the defenseman for Arizona, Michelli, who, believe it or not, is a dark horse in the Calder race. This guy is his passing is exceptional, and he's an assist machine for the Arizona Coyotes, Matias Michelli, and he's been racking up assists, racking up points lately. I say the assist and the point prop for Michelli is probably another decent option tonight. +120 to get a point, +170 to get an assist. If Arizona is going to do anything offensively, you're going to have to look at him being a part of it for sure. Matias Michelli. On the Colorado side, Rantanen to score a goal and is almost automatic. He's been terrific lately. McKinnon keeps going over his shots on goal prop, and Arizona still does give up a lot of shots. So Nate McKinnon over his shot prop makes some sense. I think Big Val Nichushkin over shots on goal. That is the one thing you may look at still, even if this is not an easy game for Colorado, that they can pile up the shot count against this Arizona team like so many other teams do. But as far as their props, I'm not going to shy away from Malgin. Dennis Malgin, I think, is still a good prop tonight to score. He's on the top line now with McKinnon and Rantanen, with Lehkonen out. That's who Jared Bednar has opted to put on the top line. I still think at some point he's going to find the back of the net playing with those two guys. So Dennis Malgin to get a point, which is around even money, and a +300 in a lot of books to score a goal for Dennis Malgin tonight as well for Colorado. I'm definitely not going to shy away from that, even though he didn't find the back of the net against Pittsburgh. Probably a better chance of that happening here tonight. And here's someone that you might want to look at too, all of a sudden heating up a little bit for the Colorado Avalanche just in recent games. Once again, now that he's centering the second line with Big Val and Newhook, and that's JT Compher. 4 points in the last 3 games. He scored one of their 2 goals against the Pittsburgh Penguins on Wednesday night. His point prop, -152. It's a little more pricey, but it's still not bad. 4 points, I should say, in the last 3 games, and you could sprinkle on the goal prop too at +260 for Compher as well in this game. So it's a nice prop game, but I'm going to look at the draw here, and the draw, as you would expect, is one hell of a great price, +460 at Pinnacle for the draw here in this game. I'm not passing up that price. I'm not passing up those odds. When they just played an overtime game in Denver, these two teams a couple weeks ago, and Colorado has a repeated track record recently of having a tough time, and Arizona being a tough out for them. What do you think here, Alex? Coyotes, Avs.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that draw. I grabbed it at +455 this morning and said Arizona's been a feisty team. And we've seen this from Colorado. It's not on the level of like a Toronto, where Toronto just outright get housed like 4-2 or 5-2 by some bad team. But Colorado, they don't make it easy. They draw things out against the Arizonas and Anaheims of the world at times. And this definitely seems like it could be one of those flat spots where they end up winning the game, but it's going to be an overtime or even a shootout. I just don't see where, like I said, they put the screws to them. And they've done well against Arizona at home. They had a great track record. Like I said, they haven't made it easy. 4 of the last 6 meetings have been decided by 1 goal, but 3 of those 4 being games going past regulation. So at that big of a price, it's definitely worth a flyer to take a shot on the draw. Not really looking at anything player prop wise or even a total here, because I can see us being it could go from being a low-scoring game that goes OT or a big back-and-forth battle, especially if Arizona could jump out to a lead. We know that'll get Colorado's offense activated. So either way, I see goals traded back and forth to the point where at least it goes past 60 minutes.
That's right. And yeah, Arizona, that's funny. I was on the air with Morency Wednesday night for his show. I always do it on Wednesday nights, midnight. He was on Arizona plus that same bet, Perlo, Arizona plus 2.5 puck line against Edmonton on Wednesday night. That's a good way to bet Arizona right now.
Yeah.
I've got no issues with that. Plus 2.5. You could bet plus 1.5 at plus 140. But if you want even more security with that, plus 2.5 and plus 2.5, by the way, minus 150. That's not a terrible price.
It's not horrible.
It's not bad at all. For plus 2.5 goals in your back pocket so that they
Yeah.
need to lose by 3 to lose that bet. It's worth it almost to lay $1.50 on that.
In comparison, if a game was around even, let's say, minus 130 plus 110, 2.5, you'd be talking about laying almost $5. So yeah, that's actually really good value for 2.5.
Yeah, so definitely a plus 2.5. It's not a bad option if you like Arizona here in this game. Karel Vejmelka and Alexander Georgiev, by the way, confirmed goaltender matchup here for this game tonight with Arizona.
Couple of mid-range goaltenders.
Yeah,
I had to say that. I had to say that because Perlo's in the chat.
Perlo, yeah, exactly. I gotta say though, Georgiev's given Colorado a lot more than I thought he would.
No,
this has been his best season in the NHL. It's not even close.
Yeah.
It's been really, really solid for him. But there's still that element of pressure of the playoffs. Can he play at a high level still? That's what we wait on for Mr. Georgiev once the Stanley Cup playoffs begin in a few weeks. All right, there you go. That's the Friday card. Thanks to everyone for joining us. As always, hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. Check out patreon.com/iceguys. Just $10 a month. Again, goalie charts, totals charts, power ratings, the daily Ice Guys show betting card, bonus content, and more. Check it out. Patreon.com/iceguys. Just $10 a month. And a reminder, too, I put it in the YouTube description of today's episode, the playoff box giveaway. Make sure you presented by GramCo. Make sure you sign up. Fill out the form, and you're going to have a chance to win with that. So don't forget about that. And we'll be giving out announcing the winners of that contest on the final Saturday of the regular season, which will be in 2 weeks, Saturday, April the 8th. So make sure you get in on that playoff box giveaway, courtesy of GramCo.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're supposed to have a graphic and everything for it, but there's been a big holdup with some technical issues over there. But the form is still fine. You can sign up for that. Like I said, the form link is in the description. You can also follow our Linktree page. It's tagged on the top of our Twitter page at @the_IceGuys. Fill that out. Get that in before April 7th at midnight. And like I said, on April 8th, we will announce there's going to be 6 winners. You're going to have 5 people win $10 gift cards to use at thegramco.com, and one person is going to get this great box that has gummies, it's got pre-rolls, and it's got a 2-gram disposable vape, and it'll get to your house just in time before the Stanley Cup playoffs start. So definitely check that out, and big thanks to GramCo for helping us with this contest.
Yeah, no question about that. We thank them for that. And get in on the action, get in on the fun, the playoff box giveaway from GramCo. All right, we got best bets to wrap up the show in just a moment, right after we hear from another great sponsor, Manscaped. Support for the Ice Guys is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the promo code ICEGUYS. That's promo code ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, it's about 14 million balls that you can preserve. The Performance Package 4.0 is the complete accessory package to take care of everything that is required. You've got, of course, the Lawnmower 4.0. Takes care of your facial hair and among other things. You've got, of course, the Weed Whacker. I'm approaching 40. Nose hair has become a major issue. It pisses the hell out of me. I need to take care of that shit, and the Weed Whacker can help you do that. Both of these products, waterproof and a 4000K LED spotlight for a more precise shave. And you'll also be able to take care of those delicate areas with the ball toner, with the ball deodorant, keep you smelling good, looking good, and feeling good down in the nether regions. This complete Performance Package 4.0 will take care of everything for you, for all you guys out there. And it's courtesy of our good friends at manscaped.com. So get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code IceGuys at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. And use promo code IceGuys. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. All right, we're back and we are ready for the Ice Guys. Just before we get to best bets, just some news about the Vegas Golden Knights. Bad news for them on the injury front. Logan Thompson will day-to-day and will miss Saturday's game. Riley Smith got hurt or something happened toward the end of that game, and he's going to be out day-to-day as well. And Alec Martinez, personal reasons, has left the team right now. So holy mackerel, we've got tons of news there with the Golden Knights. None of it good. Injuries to Logan Thompson and Riley Smith, although it doesn't seem severe. It seems like it's more day-to-day, but both of them out at least for a game or two. And Riley Smith, we know, was on that crazy point streak that got snapped last night against Calgary. And, of course, Logan Thompson left that game quick to take over. And Alec Martinez, personal matters, family reasons, has left the team. So, there you go. So, Vegas, keep an eye on that going into this weekend. A little shorthanded they'll be.
And Edmonton right now at BetOnline minus $1.70 for that game tomorrow against Vegas. So that we might see that number be a little bit higher probably come towards tomorrow.
It might, and it's already been a successful road trip too for Vegas. They beat Calgary, they beat Vancouver. Not that they're obviously going to be excited to play Edmonton. You know, it's a good testing ground for them, but still, definitely going to be a little bit tougher now with the artillery that they have out of the lineup. All right, best bets to wrap it up for this Friday. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
J-Tag, sir, in the comments saying that my best bet would be for me to have a draw. Not so fast, my friend. I'm actually going with the New Jersey Devils in regulation to get the win minus $1.25 against the Buffalo Sabres. New Jersey, they've been beating bad teams. That's what you're supposed to do when you're a good team. 23-5 the last 28 against teams with a losing record. Buffalo's just in shambles right now, even though they're at home. I still think the Devils put a good road effort within 60, and they get the job done. So let's go New Jersey, minus $1.25 in regulation. That's my best bet for the short Friday night.
All right, New Jersey in regulation, minus 125 against Buffalo. Proof that he does not like the draw in every single game. Alex B. Smith right there for his Friday best bet. My best bet, because there are sixes still out there, I'm going to rock with that Islanders Jackets. Over 6, minus 120 is still out there at a couple books, including Cool Bet, minus 122 at Bet Rivers for over 6. Make sure you get the 6 if you can, because you never know. I mean, you know, Columbus scoring against the Islanders they could, maybe they don't. It could go either way with that, but I do think the Islanders will score a bunch. I could have made the Islanders team total over 3.5, which I bet as well, the best bet, but I'm going to go with that full game over here, over 6. Minus 120, minus 122, Islanders, Blue Jackets. I think it goes over that total. All right, that'll be my best bet. That'll wrap it up for this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. And again, we got a huge Saturday show tomorrow, as always, noon Eastern, a big Saturday slate, joined as always by our Saturday contributor, Kevin Beach, on the show. Looking forward to that. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday. Watch the show live. Download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. Don't forget about the Frozen Four. It's on right now as well. Keep an eye on that stuff as well. The Sweet 16, college basketball, lots going on a Friday night. Enjoy all of it, and we will be back with you tomorrow on Saturday for a marathon edition and a massive Saturday NHL card coming your way tomorrow on the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now.